Okay. So start with Geeta Dhyan. Om. O Bhagavad Gita, by which Arjuna was illumined by Lord Krishna himself, and which was composed of 18 chapters within the Mahabharata by the ancient sage Vyasa. O Divine Mother, destroyer of rebirth, who showers the nectar of oneness upon us. O Bhagavad Gita, my affectionate mother, on thee I meditate. All the Upanishads are the cows, the milker is the cowherd boy, Krishna. Arjuna is the calf, people of purified intellect are the drinkers, and the milk is the supreme nectar of the Gita. My salutations to the Lord, who is the source of supreme bliss, whose grace makes the mute eloquent and the crippled cross mountains. Hari Om Tat Sat. Okay, so on Friday morning, Christmas Eve day, home. Come close.
Can I stand? Is that okay?
You can stand over on the side.
Thank you.
But you should sit. You should sit. And you should be fairly close. As long as the physical pain is not extreme, it's an aid. Really, it's an aid to concentration, because you'll have to assert in order to go beyond it, in order to pay attention.
Worried about
But it can
becoming prolonged as far as...
Don't worry. Don't worry about a thing. And here, we'll talk about why not to worry. Man Fools Club. Please forgive me. You know, in the world, there has to be everything. So there has to be the conventional wisdom, and then
the Man Fools Club.
The non-conventional, yeah, but the natural way. So we took this deep dive on Friday morning with Swami Chinmayananda, right? And we were talking about Adi Bhuta and Adi Daiva and Adi Yanya. And so we'll pick up there. And what's Adi mean?
First.
Yeah. But first as in the number one. Primordial. So it's that alpha, it's that which is arising. Arising. So in other words, it's not non-existent before. It's not actually a zero. It looks like a zero.
Timeless.
Timeless. So Adi, that's a concept. So primordial is a good concept to deal with. First we say, yeah, but primordial. And here, what's been shared, this is an answer to this question, that many-pronged question that Arjuna had asked, right? And what is Brahman, and what is this karma, etc., etc. Okay. And so, we were working with a couple of concepts. Let's touch them and then move on. So, karma, there was a concept shared with us on karma. We could say adi karma. So where is this karma appearing? How do you recognize it? Where is this karma appearing?
It's in the personality.
In the mind.
How is it arising? Where is it arising from?
A pull towards
the tendencies.
Towards action, to do. Even to be, we consider as doing. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't it so? So this urge is a primordial urge. This urge to do, to replicate, to be something, to to express, to say, to make our mark, all of that, that's a primordial urge. So that's that karma. So adi karma. So he says adi daiva, so the inner, adi bhuta is the outer world, mind, bodies, all of this. And then karma is that urge to do or to be, and then adi yanya, or adi yagna, better, adi yagna. Thank you, Lord. So adi yagna, what is that?
The
Sacrifice. Yagna is sacrifice. Sacrifice meaning
Make holy.
to make holy. Very good. So meaning that's related to karma. That's related to this urge to act, isn't it? So both the urge to act and the urge to
Be or do.
what is sacrifice? What's the purpose of sacrifice? What's it about?
Make holy.
selflessness.
Make our actions for not us.
So, and yagna here, pilgrimage. Pilgrimage. So yagna has a broader meaning, but also pilgrimage. And what is the purpose of pilgrimage? Okay. So here he's saying, I am all of this, and adi meaning I'm the beginning of it, right? All of these urges, I'm the beginning of it. So I'm the seed of it, right? I'm the seed of it. And then we can ask a funny question, which is, are you the seed or the tree?
Awareness of the tree and the seed.
It's both.
Well,
The tree exists in the tree. The tree exists in the seed.
tree exists in the seed. So here we've been dealing with Christmas Day and symbolism of Christmas Day and the birth of Jesus and all of this. And so Jesus was, and we watched last night The Chosen, is that the name of it?
Right? Yeah.
The Christmas special, The Chosen. And Jesus, baby Jesus is born, virgin birth. So who's the seed? There's no physical seed, correct? That's the story. So who's the seed? Brahman is the seed. Brahman is the seed, right? That's what he's saying here. Brahman is the seed, and who is Jesus?
Tree.
The seed.
And the seed. And the seed. Oh, okay. So we'll continue. Just a little more on this as we move on. It's, we're still on exploration of that tat, or that absolute, but also clearly that absolute and the relationship between I and the absolute, right? So remembering tattvamasi, that thou art. So the first 6 chapters, thou, exploration of this I, and then exploration of tat, that. So Brahman, the absolute, but also he's discussing the relationship, isn't he? As well as then this great question, how to be with thee after death. So that question, which was this discourse, the last point, we'll cover it again today. Okay, So the Blessed Lord said, Brahman is the imperishable, the supreme. His essential nature is called self-knowledge, the adhyatman. Self-knowledge. What's self-knowledge?
The understanding of Brahman, the real self.
The offering unto the gods which causes the creation and existence of beings is called karma. And then we had the exploration, karma, not just action, but the urge to action, adi, the urge to act. That ineffable urge. It's an urge that doesn't stop, is it correct? Even the urge to sit is the same. The urge to withdraw is the same. The urge not to do anything is the same. It's this urge, I'm not doing anything today. I'm not speaking, I'm not doing anything. That's also karma. Right? You see? Maybe that even helps put some light on the concept of doership, non-doership, which is a concept we've been dealing with since early on. So the one who goes beyond doership has to go beyond all of this, right? Even non-doing. As a common concept of yogis, baby yogis, is that non-doership means I won't do. But you see, it's coming from the same urge. So it's also karma.
It's doing.
It's also doing.
Doing anything. It's doing.
Inaction is action.
Indeed. In action, you're there. Very good. Very good. You read it. It stuck. And it's a difficult concept to grasp because of this. Inaction is referring to that which is not acting, which is not the person. It's that which is not subject to the urge to act. Who is not subject to the urge to act? Awareness. Brahman.
So then up until self-realization, you have to tinker with the urge. And then there's no reason to tinker with anything.
You're not tinkering with the urge. You're transcending it.
But up until...
No, the urge is there. The urge is there. You are not the urge.
But I have to choose to engage with it or not, right?
You're making an intellectual statement.
Yeah, the intellect has to do that.
The intellect has to choose. Yeah. What to do.
Yeah.
It's not to do or not to do. It's what to do. To be or not to be. That is the question. To do or not to do, that's not the question either. Doing happens. It has to happen. That's very early on, second chapter stuff. But it's helpful now because you come back to the same point with more light.
So it's the content of what you're doing
it's the purpose. It's the motive. It's the purpose. Yeah.
Maybe it's the mind that poses a problem because nature doesn't seem to have a problem with it. It just does.
The sun does without thinking about it. The sun has that same urge to act. There's nothing wrong with that urge. That underlies every being here. So what's wrong with it? The only problem is you're taking yourself to be that which is acting. You're taking yourself to be the person, the player, not the playwright. The character on the screen. The character on the stage. All the world is a stage. All the men and women are but players upon it. My dear Shakespeare experienced the light. So that's the only issue here. So you're not tinkering with the urge. The urge is natural. If you try to suppress the urge, you lose yourself. Because then you have to exert all of that pressure, all of that effort to suppress an urge that's completely natural, that's not to be suppressed. You just have to deal with the motives. That's what's being addressed here. You just have to deal with the motives.
But if the motive is bad, then you cut the urge.
Or transform
The sun, what motive does the sun have?
The sun doesn't have a motive.
Okay, there you go. There's your example.
Well, I'm just thinking of something like lower urge.
Very philosophical, very caught up in the intellect stuff again, Gopala. I'm giving you a warning. You're thinking too much.
I don't know how else to ask a question.
Then you settle.
Might it
You
be
settle
like-
for a moment. Don't.
Sorry.
You can ask questions. Oh.
Might it be like an emotion like anger? Instead of repressing it, you would transform it or find another way to, as opposed to repressing it.
So you're going to have to find a motive that is in alignment with the absolute. That's yoga. So your motive will have to be selfless, meaning not about the imaginary little self. There is no imaginary little self. It only exists as an idea. So as long as the motive is about the imaginary self, then that's the island trying to hold back the sea. Right? So that's out of alignment. There's nothing wrong with the urge to do, because that's neutral. It's by nature selfless. By nature selfless. Only in delusion does it become self-centered. Right? So as a yogi, you turn that around. So the urge to act will still be there. So therefore you have to act selflessly. And the urge to think will be there. The urge to think is the same. You know, have you ever noticed that thoughts are just like bombarding?
Yeah.
So that's that same urge driving them. It's a selfless urge. Because that movement through the mind, as it were, through the mind stuff, is the same as this movement of action that we see in the world and that we feel the urge to do. All of that is, as it were, bubbling out of something that's not a thing. Like a geyser. Brahman is a geyser. What's the well called that just bubbles out, pours out? Artesian well. It's an artesian well. So this urge is constant. So what to do? The only issue you have is the delusion. That's the only issue you have, is taking yourself to be something little, limited, that therefore has to apply this urge in order to be complete and whole here in this Adibhuta, in this world. But he says the way out of this. This is the next, and we'll cover now. So he says how to get out of this. Does that resonate, Gopal?
Yeah.
Okay, good. You see, that's the only issue. And the urge to do is not an issue. Why is that an issue? You'll have a strong notion, perhaps, that it's an issue and that you want to stop doing. But who's doing? Who's doing? God's doing. Through the nature. God is the urge to do. Whose hands are these?
God.
Whose mind is this?
Brahman.
Whose feet?
Brahman.
Whose box?
Brahman.
What's the box made of?
Brahman.
Who's doing here?
Brahman.
Through the Adibhuta, through the lower nature, Prakriti. This was where this discussion started in chapter 7. Through the lower nature. So where am I in this picture? Am I really in this picture? Where am I? Write me into the script somewhere. Put me in somewhere.
Put me in, coach.
Put me in. I want to be in it. Where am I?
It's like
Which one of these am I doing?
Doers of everything. Constructors.
The question still comes that forgive me, Swami.
No, of course, everything. Yeah. Who's asking the question here?
I still, but the choice, where does the choice enter?
Whose
into?
intellect is it?
It's Brahman. It's
Yeah.
his intellect.
Okay. Well, clearly you must have a relationship with him, her, because apparently you have a choice. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. But whose instrument are you using in order to make the choice?
God.
But still you have a choice, don't you?
Yes.
That's not diluted. You have a choice. Okay.
And the choice is to.
But what choice serves? And that's what's being discussed right now. So let's move on
Okay.
on these next slokas. What choice to make?
Mm-hmm.
Honoring what we're discussing here, what choice to make? What choice serves?
Something that helps others.
Because you see that you're not what you take yourself to be. Is it so?
Yes.
And you see that everything you've taken yourself to be is actually
Brahman.
Brahman. And you see that when you recognize that, life flows.
Yeah.
You see there's no island.
Yeah.
You see you don't have to fight it. So what choice to make? And that's discussed now. And whosoever leaving the body goes forth remembering me alone, at the time of death he attains to my being. There is no doubt about this. Whosoever at the end leaves the body thinking of any state of being, to that being only does he go, Arjuna, because of his constant thought of that being. So, is that resonating?
Yeah.
Because of this great power, you can't be anything but, dear. And because of this great power, you have the power to be as if anything that you choose. You can be, yes, as if. It's as if you are this, correct? So he says, so at that time, think of me. Now, how do you think of me at that time? Because that time could be horrendous.
You gotta be thinking about it all the time.
Therefore, at all times, remember me only and fight. Therefore, see, there's an assumed question. We just gave that question. How in the world will I remember you, dear Lord, at the time of death? Because the time of death could be horrible. Huh? They could be attacked by bees or wasps or
Bears.
this COVID thing. Bears. It could happen without a moment's notice. It could happen just like that. And how in the world could I be thinking of you then? How could I ensure that I think of you then? You see that question naturally arises? So he answers it.
Yeah.
Unless you're enlightened, though, you would already be identified with it.
Therefore, he's not talking to someone who's enlightened.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. That would be the student.
Who's he talking to? He's talking to you.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Therefore, at all times, remember me only and fight. Fight what? Is he talking about the battle in the battlefield? That's long gone by now. Do you see what he's talking about fighting? This was a point we were talking about a few nights ago. You see what the fight is? You see how hard it is to keep the mind single-pointed. Even though in these moments in satsang, you know it. You see, don't you know it? Right now, you know it. Where's that doubt right now?
Not here.
It's not present. Is it because you just set aside? No, it's because the light is here right now and you get it right now, correct? Yeah. So, but try to keep this through the day. Do you have to fight to do it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the fight. Right, Gopala?
Yeah. Resolves.
Yeah, resolve, strong.
Strong resolve.
Strong will, learn how to develop willpower, yes? Strong, keep this mind focused, stay in this place. Because why? Because something's going to happen. Somebody's going to say something that invariably raises a trigger and some sort of response, anger, fear. I want to run away now. Nobody likes me here. All this garbage.
If you don't have a clean conscience, you might not feel like you deserve the light, and you might turn away from it.
So it continues. With the mind, therefore, at all times, remember me only in fight. With mind and intellect fixed or absorbed in me, thou shalt doubtless come to me alone. With the mind not moving towards any other thing, made steadfast by the method of habitual meditation, and constantly meditating on the divine, one goes to the Supreme Person, the resplendent, O Arjuna. So this meditation that's being talked about is not seated for 24 hours. This meditation that's talked about is single-pointed mind. And you practice single-pointed mind by seeing the underlier in everything and everyone. So that's also meditation practice. You practice meditation by serving the one in everything and everyone. The first is Jnana Yoga, the second is Karma Yoga. You do this practice this meditation by devoting to the one in everything and everyone. That's bhakti, right? And of course, Raja Yoga. Sometimes we sit. Sometimes we sit and we withdraw in to the one. We withdraw the senses, we come back in like the turtle. But these are all practices of meditation.
Right.
So in the way Lord Krishna is describing here, that's it. Method of habitual meditation. And you make it habitual. Do you see? Where are the habits?
In the tendencies in the mind.
Yeah, the habits are the tendencies. The tendencies are the subconscious mind. Right?
The learned, behaviors, conditioning.
Yeah, learned behaviors, right. The conditioning. So that's what sadhana is. It's making the subconscious to be always indwelling, but not like Raja Yoga, not just like that, because the one is where? Everywhere. So it's not just withdrawal, it's expansion also. Right? Yeah. Because the one is
Everywhere.
everywhere. So it's expansion also.
An expansion of.
You have to go deep in and out both until there's no in and out anymore.
Oh, I see.
Then you can stop that.
Right?
Yeah.
Just in won't do. You won't get to that place of no in and out anymore. You'll build a cave, a shelter, and try to stay in there, but the Lord won't allow you to stay there.
Yeah.
Because that's not complete. That's incomplete. Oh. So, with the mind not moving towards any other thing, made steadfast by the method of habitual meditation, constantly meditating on the divine, one goes to the Supreme Person, the resplendent, O Arjuna. Whosoever meditates on the omniscient, the ancient, the ruler of the whole universe, minuter than an atom, the supporter of all, of inconceivable form, effulgent like the sun and beyond the darkness of ignorance. At the time of death, with unshaken mind, endowed by devotion, by the power of yoga, fixing the whole life breath in the middle of the two eyebrows, he reaches that resplendent Supreme Person. So we'll come back to that in the morning. I'm going to read those two again. We get the poetry of the Gita sometimes. Here it's here. And just stay present with it and ask yourself, do I understand what's being shared? Now, complete understanding requires constant. Yeah. And complete understanding only exists within Krishna anyway. But we touch it. And still we need to assert, to do our best to grasp what's being shared. Whosoever meditates on the omniscient. How do you meditate on the omniscient?
Many techniques.
Sorry?
Oh, I just said many techniques.
Any? Give me one. How do you meditate upon the omniscient?
Well, like I'm thinking of Swami Shivananda's meditation technique, litany. He talks about some, like, you think of, like, try and think of the infinite, even though it's difficult. You can think of, like, infinite space, or like the all-pervasiveness of God's qualities. Or
very good,
like,
very good. Very good. In any object.
yeah.
Any object. Yeah, absolutely. Very good. Okay. So, he's saying, see me, relate to me, be present with me. Where? Always.
Always, everywhere.
Always, everywhere. So whosoever meditates on the omniscient, the ancient. What does it mean, ancient?
Adi.
Adi. Yeah. In MERT, Mother Earth Restoration Trust, they actually speak of pre-ancient wisdom, which is an interesting concept. That's also Adi. Because before the ancient, and before the ancient becomes the ancient. So the ancient. The ruler of the whole universe. Minuter than an atom. The supporter of all, of inconceivable form, effulgent like the sun, and beyond the darkness of ignorance. Okay, let's read it all together then. Whosoever meditates on the omniscient, the ancient, the ruler of the whole universe, minuter than an atom, the supporter of all, of inconceivable form, effulgent like the sun, and beyond the darkness of ignorance, at the time of death with unshaken mind, endowed with devotion by the power of yoga, fixing the whole life breath in the middle of the two eyebrows, he reaches that resplendent Supreme Person. Hari Om Tat Sat. Any other comment or question before we close? Are we hearing the method?
All sides, all the time. All different ways, but all the time.
All the time. All the time. Yeah.
That's
Abhyasa, constant practice. But also he's specifying what. So in having come here, at least for these moments, we can catch. I mean, there's still doubt. The doubt emerges after satsang. It's not allayed. It's suspended now. Because now you've actually brought your awareness to this, and you're in the presence, and you're really dealing with the concepts, and you're seeing, yeah, it's true. What I take to be real, what it seems like, is not actually the truth. And even if you don't call it God, even if you don't call it Krishna, even if you don't call it Brahman, still you can see that what's being shared is correct. Even with a little bit of knowledge of modern science, you can see that what's being shared is correct. All that's here is the singularity. All that's here is what was here before the Big Bang. Nothing comes from nothing. Something has to come from something. It just happens to be a something that can't be seen with the eyes, and can't be smelt by the nose, and can't be tasted by the tongue, and can't be touched by the skin, can't be heard by the ears. It can't even be imagined by the mind. This is where science has come. But still, it has to exist, because there's existence now.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what he's sharing. He's giving it a name. He's giving it some concept that we can deal with, so that it's not conceptless. And he says, everything you've been looking for, it's there. And that there is I. I am this, I am that. And actually scientifically describing the relationships. And then he says how to come back to be at union with me. Oh. And yeah, it's like this Maya, this delusion, which is not a problem, except it's a practical issue for us. Does it make sense? It's a practical issue for us. Yeah, because it's like a wave. We can be fine for a moment, and then somebody says boo, for God's sakes, and then the wave crashes over.
Oh yeah, that happened yesterday. Don't do that.
It's like, what happened?
The subject came.
Now I'm back in the whole what if thing again. And then, the thought, that person shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I didn't think that.
You see? And now separation is back. with both of you. Yeah, absolutely. No, what you both said, yes, absolutely.
It's funny how that really happened yesterday. Oh.
I'm right, you're right. No, you're wrong, I'm right. I'm wrong, you're right. Oh.
He's probably right.
Yeah.
When things get too complicated for me, I just think about Jesus.
Oh, good. Good. Well, what we feel is this is actually confirming the wisdom in that. Very good.
Kind of, it's a child's way of dealing with hard things, but it's really such a good method.
That's the practice, isn't it?
Mhm.
Yeah. So when do you stop and why stop?
That's why God makes things really complicated for me. He's like, oh, I know how to get you to think about me.
Okay, we'll close with final prayer now to page 174. Short version. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Orvairukmeva Bandhanan Mritor Mokshiyamamritata Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Orvairukmeva Bandhanan Mritor Mokshiyamamritata Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Orvairukmeva Bandhanan Mritor Mokshiyamamritata Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. O adorable Lord of mercy and love, let us abide in thee forever and ever. On below Satguru Shivananda Maharaj Ki, and for all of the saints and sages of all the traditions. That's right, Swarati.